welcome to Cardano Chats, man. It's good to have you on the show. Damon with Charli3, Cardano's first oracle.
Yeah, thanks for having me here. I know we've been trying to set this up for a while, but it's really good to finally get it out there, and as many public appearances I can make, I'm happy to do.
Yeah, glad you're doing it, man. We've been talking quite a bit lately, so it's definitely good to have you on the show. How'd you get into blockchain, man, and crypto?
I mean, I got into it mostly actually just from a friend of mine who actually is someone who works at Starter. So that's how I got involved with them as well. That's Brandon. And he's just been into it for a really long time. He's tried to get me into trading, many years ago when we used to work together, and eventually did. And I just kept picking it up from there. And I moved into the, DeFi space more instantly than anything else, because I just liked that I just like the whole idea of it, that it's not centralized. I mean, it's that simple, right? I mean, it's hard to explain, but it really is that simple as well. I like it that it's not governed by any one entity, right? So that's really nice. And then on top of that, I moved into more or less just purely Cardano type stuff, because I generally got into crypto to begin with just because of the ethos and where I felt like they were going with the community and their vision for what DeFi can be in a real world space for the future. So that really excites me, and that's what brought me here now doing this project.
Yeah. Well, as with many of the guys I've talked with in this space for this channel, we have a lot in common in that regard. I was definitely attracted to the space because of the decentralization. That's a huge factor, without a doubt. And without a doubt, the ethos and the community with Cardano, the vision and how they're bringing real world adoption and their strategy. So much of that really got me attracted to the project. So, and the more you learn, it's like the more you get into it, the more you realize about Cardano and the blockchain and how well they're putting this all together. It becomes, more solidified how powerful it can be.
Yeah, one of those reasons you're talking about how they're putting it all together, and even just taking their time with it, is another thing that drove me to Cardano as well. Like, I come from a very academic background, and I've done a lot of research myself, and I really enjoy that validity that it brings to whatever your operation is. Right. Yeah. It's just, sure, it might take a little bit longer, but then you have this trust in it to know that it's actually been tested and it's good and it's going to work, and we can build from there. And that, not that, oh, it looks good and then, something's broken later on. It's more future proofed. And I think having that trust, especially now in this age, in this space with a lot of emotions going on, having trust really adds to that support and stability of a market and as a community as well. Yeah,
absolutely. Completely agree. Peer review is huge.
Yeah.
I saw something recently on Cointelegraph. I don't want to go down that road, but they were trying to bash peer review, and it's kind of a joke. I mean, the reality is, you got a bunch of really bright computer scientists that are taking pride in showing you where something's gone wrong, so that you could fix it and make it better. And that process alone is going to make something excel, because you get so many different viewpoints, really trying to show where the weaknesses are. But man, you guys got an incredible project. I want to talk about that. It's exciting. Sure. Charli3. So what inspired Charli3, and how'd you get involved with these guys?
What inspired it? I think that we just knew, obviously, like we look at things like Chainlink, that connect everybody, right? They connect this whole space, especially in Ethereum, and they're trying to do, the chain agnosticism with them too. And without oracles, even in the real world, a lot of things just don't exist without that transfer of data and that, slashing from bad actors and making sure that it doesn't, like bad data isn't being processed through to different sites and coming into, your function as a person. That's needed, right? It's a needed aspect in the space. It's a needed function for most of the projects. And we wanted to add the largest impact that we could make, So again, just following that Cardano ethos of community and connection, nothing does that more than an Oracle, really. So we started off with that. As many viewers might know, it was with a different team to begin with. But that was a very small amount of time until the rest of us were internally promoted, because we're all working with CardStarter on the project to begin with. So when we got brought up, basically nothing had been done yet, and we already had the idea of where we wanted to go and why it was being built. And as well as with CardStarter, they obviously wanted to take it on as their first IDO, because their whole ethos too is following the same thing of this community and connection, especially with the cards ecosystem. And they need an Oracle to connect all of those projects together. So they figured, let's start with the thing that'll do that, and then as it comes, we can build on that basis of that connection. And so that's where we're at today.
Yeah, man, that's great. I love it. So you guys, you've come together. You're in full gear, coding, getting ready for Pluto smart contracts, I imagine. Yeah. What's the mission? Like, where do you guys really see yourselves excelling?
I mean, the main mission right now is being ready for testnet, right? But part of what that means is connecting, as I've alluded to already, is connecting as many projects as possible in order to make the space work as efficiently and accurately as it possibly can, right? There's a lot of hopes riding on Cardano here, and just by the nature of what we've been talking about with the peer-reviewed research, right, is the whole point of that is to make sure that everything is good, that everything can run properly. And part of that solution, like I've said already, is an Oracle solution. And we don't want anything to be lagging behind, right? People have been waiting for this for a long time. We have a lot of partners that are relying on us for that data. So the main mission is to make sure that the ecosystem is running as smoothly as it possibly can from day one, right away, and continuing that on as far as we can into the future with any other projects that are coming up, and especially with the ones that we're starting with. Shorter term goals, let's get on testnet and start getting this stuff together, because without that, it's not going to work.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and mentioning bringing on a lot of partners in the community and following that trend of the blockchain community aspect of it and the network, you guys are building out a group of really solid partners. I certainly have noticed that within you. I mean, that's one of the best qualities you have. In the short time I've known you, you're really good at pulling people into a vision. I've seen it. I've seen it firsthand in action. So is that a lot of your role within Charli3 is to bring on new partners?
Yeah, at the moment it is. Initially, we had talked about trying to divvy that up between me and the COO, but then obviously things get a little bit more complicated when you're running a business on the back end. You got to deal with a lot of lawyer things and a lot of other meetings with higher ups. So like our COO Robert, who was going to handle a lot of partnerships and stuff, he is actually the one managing a lot of our legal things, and then also taking on the burden of, in addition to that, legal and accounting, is also dealing with a lot of the partnerships on the higher ups. So with the IOHK and the Cardano Foundation and potentially Emergo, hopefully in the near future. So he has a lot of those great connections because he's involved in that higher end of the world. And that's awesome to have him there. And then I've taken over doing most of the partnership stuff. And then, it's good. I reach out to a lot of people, and I also run all the socials still and manage my team of mods. So I'm doing full on community management, the digital marketing side of things, and then also doing all the partnerships right now. Yeah. Well, you're doing a killer job with it. You got a lot of people interested in this Statepool deal that we're doing to contribute to some of the clean water wells in Africa with the Drop for Drop charity. And so what we're doing there and what birthed from our original conversation is definitely pretty awesome. So thanks for bringing people into that. It's pretty cool. Yeah. Do we want to? Yeah, I'd love to touch on that. Actually, I was just going to ask if you're cool with it. I'm sure you can agree right now that we are going to have a press statement coming out about what we're talking about that'll involve all the projects that we've talked about. So until then, we're not going to name the projects. No reason to announce the announcement. Stay tuned, folks. But basically, the gist of it is that you guys, community knows that you, Josh, run a Grow Your Stake pool that contributes to Drop for Drop campaign that builds wells in Africa. And we had this idea together to potentially, instead of just having the regular investor come into it, also have projects to allocate a certain amount. And we're in the position as projects who have had a large raise to potentially give a lot more than the regular person. And we, again, all the projects that are involved in this, I don't think we even really had to convince them all that much. We just kind of basically said the first couple things like, hey, we want to give back to charity. We want to use our own money for it. It follows the ethos. And they just said yes, right? So we've got, I think, 5 projects right now and in talks with more that are all going to be delegating to the stake pool. And we are all giving up all of our rewards that we would get from staking. And it's going 100% straight to Drop for Drop for building more and more wells in Africa and other areas, right, Josh? We're going to be not just in the African community.
Yeah, it's going to start there. We have a lot of options that we can explore, but it's a good chunk beginning there. But yeah, and we're really grateful for how that conversation with you that has burst so much in just a short amount of time. I think I'm really excited about it. I think it's really amazing because it is the community aspect. It's a group of early stage Cardano pioneers getting together for a good cause, supporting the security of the network by staking, and then also contributing to a mission that's very aligned with Cardano's mission. Because we're talking about bringing clean water to these communities where Cardano's going in with World Mobile as well to try to bring connectivity and try to bring economic identity to these people. And so there's so much involved there that really makes this a cool synergistic thing. So thanks for being willing to talk about it. And thanks for what you're doing there. It's pretty cool, pretty exciting.
I'm pretty excited about it myself as well. And we've been talking to World Mobile as well on the Charli side to try and integrate with them in new ways. And I think if we have this stake pool operation going to the same communities that they are and connecting on many different fronts, that's one of my huge goals as the marketing lead here, is that connection doesn't only happen from one central point, right? The more a web that it is, the more multiple points of contact with different projects in different pools and different areas, the higher connectivity and the higher strength we have as a blockchain and as DeFi in general. So just because, World Mobile wouldn't be joining the pool because they have their own operations that are doing different charities and their own things, it doesn't mean we can't still work together to come up with the same results in the same
absolutely
same areas.
Funny thing you mentioned it is I shot him an email this morning, Mickey and Josie at World Mobile, and trying to plan this trip where we all go out there and build a well, because you had mentioned you're interested in actually getting your hands dirty and building a well, and some of the other groups we've been talking to as well are. And so we're working on planning that, trying to figure something out for September or October. And we want to invite as many people as we can to create a pretty massive event. So yeah, it's cool. World Mobile will be involved. We'll link you guys up. We'll all figure this out and go out there and get to see the boots on the ground for the World Mobile operation and solidify that connection and do some content for them, but also just get our hands dirty and drill a well. So that'll be fun.
I mean, already there's multiple points of contact through you and me and World Mobile and then the charities and the stake pools, right? Like it's already a very strong web, and with World Mobile being attached to the top with Cardano, I mean, that only adds more potential strength for our project as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, tell us a little bit more. Thanks for going into that with me, but tell us a little more about the use cases, the different use cases you have. And I know you may not be able to mention certain names, but feel free to, where you can, tell us who's using your platform? Who are your early stage partners, and what do those use cases look like?
Sure. I mean, well, most people know that, sorry for my cough.
No, you're good.
Most people know that we're partnered with Gero Wallet, right? They're the next, the other incubated project from Cardstarter that came out right after us. We have a really strong partnership with them on all of their functions that they're going to roll out. So initially they're doing a wallet, and then a DEX, and then fiat on-ramp, off-ramps, right? And some other things, right? But with all of these functions, they need accurate price feeds, right? These are the functions that are going straight out to you guys, the users, the regular investors, right? That you're going to be using every single day, and you rely on it to make your trades and keep your money safe and reliable. And we provide all of that data to them on a rolling update of, it'll be different for each type of thing. But hoping for, especially with the DEX, is something like a 15-second update, what you're used to from other trading platforms. And just to make sure that all of that data is correct and valid and trusted and safe for all of your needs. And it's the same thing for what's sitting in your wallet. People like to look up what's there. Our data will be providing that. So other use cases we have that are more, I guess, unique, not a typical Oracle type function, is things like with our partnership with Netvrk. So it's a VR open world building space, right? So we'll be providing them different price feeds, weather feeds, sports feeds from different outsourced off-chain APIs that we're going to be bringing that data on-chain with. To give the different functions for different types of gaming and gambling. And that's another thing. We've been talking with another Cardstarter project coming up called Ridotto to manage their gambling and betting platforms. So that's going to be bringing out, again, accurate price feeds have to be pulled, from corrected and or correct and trusted APIs from different sources and from different node operators that we'll be employing later. And that's all going to go to making their gambling platforms run properly, and then also having a randomness protocol from our side to make sure that those gambling sources are trusted and not rigged in any way, or different patterns to be able to be exploited in any source or fashion, right? So that's keeping all those sources really trusted. As well. And then the final one, I know I've alluded to this on another interview as well, is that we're trying to get into medical data as well. So we'll be trying to talk to World Mobile with that too. But the people we're hoping to get in with right away or right away whenever they launch, I guess, is Immunify, who are trying to make, different passports, wallet type things for your immunization records and health records, as well as many other statuses. But like, if we can manage to get those records in bulk and make sure that they're constantly updated throughout the world, that's a much larger operation that we still have to figure out all the information for. But if we can get electronic medical records into and get that data valid from the right sources and through their systems at Immunify, then that helps for travel and keeping things updated and stopping things like we just are going through and hopefully ending soon with the pandemic, right? And making sure that people can't travel to other areas without being properly immunized and all that. So that side of things, with my background in medical fields as a nurse, is really, really excited for me. And I'm going to be working closely with them as well to hopefully make that partnership a reality.
That's great, man. An incredibly important use case as well. So that's very cool. I imagine you're going to be learning a lot with all the different projects that are coming your way.
Yeah.
I know you've been talking to a ton of people, and some you can't announce, and that's no big deal. But out of curiosity, so that people understand the magnitude of where you're at, I know things have been quite affected by the market. Could you tell us how you've had to adjust your strategy and what that's how that's impacted you guys?
Yeah, for sure. I think anybody can see it, especially anybody who's going through Cardstarter or other, launch pads right now. It's just things aren't launching we are, especially for Cardano, everything's early build up, like we've been talking about. And in order for that to happen, more projects have to come onto the scene. Now, if no projects are coming onto the scene, there's less and less for us to be able to connect with and figure out different use cases for different projects, again, to attach to ones we're already partnered with, to have that connection, that on many points. So it's slowed down production, I guess, that way a little bit, but mostly not on the partnering side and communication side, but more so on the being able to announce it, right? So many people don't want to launch their projects, very understandably and strategically. They don't want to launch in a volatile market right now.
Yeah,
right.
You can't make any decisions. Yeah,
you can't make proper decisions. You can't know where it's going. You can't have any strength. You need community to build your projects, right, and be back to back you on all these decisions. And it's not worth it right now. So very strategically, most of these projects that we have talked to and are, will be announcing partnerships with in the future. It's already, solidified, but just waiting for the go on them. They're taking the extra time, again, very strategically and smartly, to just work on their code and not have to spend extra time dealing with community management and public image and all this kind of stuff before they need to. And that's super smart in the space. And that's coming from me as someone who, that's my entire job is public image and communications. Right. So, but for them, I think it will look better for all of these projects to slow down, come out when they're ready. And again, following that whole idea and the whole lead of Cardano to make sure your project is set before you go, that's better. It's hard to do that right now without having smart contracts and testnet. But the further along you can get in building into Haskell, the better off we're going to be for testnet and integrating with our systems and having that network that works as best as it can right from the get-go.
So you were speaking a little bit of the other projects being able to further ready themselves for launch with Plutus. Is that kind of the same with you guys? You're solidifying. What's the status of where you're at with the code base or with your tech stack? How is that coming along?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a super technical developer. I'm a marketing guy, so I'll allude to it as much as I can. So initially, we had a couple developers working on our programs, and we were building a little bit in Solidity as well as Haskell. But then we just got some news from working with the foundation that they said, it would be a much better idea, especially with our platform, for integration with other projects, if you could build everything from a base of Haskell instead of a base of Solidity. Not that Solidity can't be transferred over. It can. It's just not going to work as well right off the bat until maybe some bugs are worked out, right? So basically we said, yes, we want to make sure that our project is as perfect as possible. We'll take that hit. It's better to build from the foundation instead of, building a really bad start of your house. You want to make sure you have that best foundation that you possibly can that's equal in level, and that's what we're doing right now to have its strength to build on. So we had to go back a little bit, but in order to pick up that slack, we hired a team of experienced Haskell devs out of California, and they are working with us full time. They're super great. They're going through the Plutus Pioneers program as well. And working through all those lectures together as a team. We get daily updates of everything they've done. They've basically gone through the entire thing, and I think it's only been a week and a half or 2 weeks. They're working on our GitHub that's going to be going up right away. Not right away, like within the next few weeks is basically what we're hoping for. I know that's delayed from our initial roadmap, but like I said, we had to take a step back to make sure our product was better. And we've hired 2 more devs, one who's already actually worked on some Cardano projects that they are implementing in their systems already. So that's exciting. And he's going through the Plutus program on his own, but he's also getting extra with the dev group that's going through it. So yeah, we're just doubling up on all the education and making sure everything is as solid as it can be for building out for these other projects. And like I said, a lot of things rely on us to be day one. So we're moving as fast as we can, but without sacrificing any quality, right? It's a long-term gain for us. Yeah. This is a long-term project. We don't want to sacrifice quality just for speed in order for the community to be happy about seeing something. I think it's way better to see a working project, a working ecosystem, and happy other projects, because that makes everybody, more capital in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and honestly, you've proven it by taking the step backwards in a sense, not really backwards or a side step, but you decided to go with Haskell and not start on that Solidity foundation, so that you guys literally chose quality because you realized you're building castles made of sand, so to speak, if you go in the other direction, like the Jimi Hendrix song, dude. You know that song?
Yeah.
They fall in the sea. So that's a solid decision, man. Start with quality foundation for the project, and because so many people depend upon you. And that kind of leads me to the next aspect of this is, so there's some parts on your website I didn't quite fully understand in going through it because I'm not the technical guy. However, let's talk a little bit about how you're ensuring for your customers and your partners that you're going to be getting them quality data, because that's what it's all about. That's the name of the game for you guys, right? Make sure that everybody has quality data. And you talked about ensured node consensus. So can you tell me a little bit about what that means?
Yeah, ensured is not the correct word. We're changing that. It's more assured than anything.
Okay.
So basically with that is that we will have different, node operators and stuff that feed us our data from other sources, right? And it's assured that there won't be bad actors, or bad actors are going to be punished in that sense. So if a value comes in that's crazy, it gets slashed. And the way that works is that we will provide a certain amount of C3 tokens for these projects to work on to gain their initial data feeds, right? Mm-hmm. And every update costs a certain amount, and they only have a pool to work from to begin with, right? So if they start providing any bad data that comes through our services, and we cross-reference that with other people sending in the same data, and if it's a way crazy outlier, we slash their basically their funding, and we throw out their data, so it's not considered in our averages in the pool to get sent out to you guys, the consumers, through other people's platforms, right? So then that just lowers their effective operating potential with us as far as they go. So they're really incentivized long-term to use and provide trusted, accurate data. Not that they should have to be, but you never know what people are going to try and put out to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you talk about price fluctuations or market signals, that can be really manipulated and utilized for a variety of nefarious purposes. So the fact that you guys have an incentive to reduce that or control that is definitely critical, I would think. When it comes to people and their money and investing, you got to be a trusted source of data, and it sounds like a good solution there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
that works into our other functions. I don't know if you're going to ask about that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's where we're going next.
Yeah. So our next function of just having, I think the next one is on the list, is the trusted data feeds, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So that whole thing it's coming along the exact same idea, right? When we are going to be partnering with projects, we're building out, unique systems for each type of project, depending on whatever their needs are, right? Not everybody's just going to need price feeds, or even if they do, they might need them in completely different ways, right? So in order to have that, we will have specified types of APIs and node operators that are grabbing certain types of data that we trust more, because they have a reputation of giving us the right accurate data all the time. So basically, we're going to be suggesting those operators to these projects, trusted from the team, because they have a history. And those ones are going to be getting chosen even just through our systems that will keep track of those things anyway. Those operators and data providers will be chosen more so than a new person. So you have this, I guess, sense of hierarchy in trust for those node operators that's built over time. And that way we can build up a whole network that is more trusted. The longer it goes, the more secure it is.
That's great. Yeah. Sounds like you guys were really thinking through a good way of ensuring trust there.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also mentioned the aggressive node reputations. What is that? How's that?
Well, that's basically kind of what I just talked about, is with the reputations of each node staker or node data provider or APIs, right? So it's aggressive in the way that we will only take the best ones, and anybody who might be futzing around with setting in different types of data that it isn't viable to us at all, right? And it's just using our systems, putting stress on our systems that don't need to be there. We don't need that,
Right.
So that's how it's aggressive, is we're only going to be taking the best sources that we can in order to provide for our customers and the other projects and the whole blockchain in general.
Okay, gotcha. That's great, man. Clears up your mission to create a quality product and quality data and that large group of people. What's next on the roadmap? I mean, how does this flesh out for you guys?
So the next thing that we want to try and get up on the roadmap, like other than the typical, getting our public GitHub out there so everyone can see, and still working on that and getting on, hopefully Alonzo White, if it's good enough to use our systems with, right? We're in contact with the foundation to say, like, okay, what can our systems handle? Other things are easier, right. But to push out all this data from many different sources to different sources, the smart contracts have to be a little bit more further developed than that. So as soon as we can, that's the next roadmap item. Get on the test net and start trading these. To start with is accurate price feeds, right? We want to make sure that our systems are running properly, exactly how we're talking about them, and that we can notify those bad actors. So we would, throw through bad data from different sources that we run on our own to see if the system catches it and tosses it out, and, make sure that that's possible. That's all part of the test. And then past that, as far as a user experience, is that we will be doing node operating, but that's just for our data node operators to get back to us. We're not going to be doing commercial staking for the regular person. We want to really focus our systems on and our efforts on making sure we have the correct data. I talked about this on an AMA with CardStarter last week, and the community actually responded to it. They said, that's not the answer we want to hear, but it's the honest one. And it shows that you're really focused on getting your systems up and running and the data out there as valid as possible for many operations, instead of just worrying about your own image and your own people that way, right? So, and that is the goal. So, but we do want to get information out there on how to become a node staker and get those people involved as quickly as we can, because the more nodes we have to pull from, the more accurate our data feeds are.
Very cool. Very cool. So anything else on the roadmap that you want to discuss, or?
Nothing on the roadmap that I can discuss right now. And it's not because I don't want to. It's more of we need to make sure that, again, through testnet, that the ideas that we're trying to implement are things that are possible within the time frame that we want them to be. So I don't want to give out information that, as sort of like, this is guaranteed to happen at this time, because as we see constantly all the time, especially with Cardano and this market, things change all the time. We have to adjust to them. And as soon as things come out for the roadmap, it's going to be put up. We have a new website coming out within the next couple of weeks, and it's going to be completely updated with more roadmap items for our current Q3, Q4, potential items that, if we're in a good spot of development, they will fit into those areas. And then also a much longer term roadmap for the future. So future roadmap items will be on there as well. So you guys, even though I don't
have to get you back on the show.
Yeah, even though I don't have them right now, those are coming. They're being written out by our dev team as they're working, and they'll be up and continually updated on our website. So just look for that.
All right, will do. All right, so final question, unless there's anything else you want to add after this, but what's the vision for the next 5 years for you guys? Like, where do you see Charli3?
Wow, that's like a proper job interview question right there.
Yeah,
Yeah, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
I kind of.
5 years is a bit down the line, but ultimately, like, I mean, there's a single model we can look to of success in this space for what we're doing, and that's Chainlink, right? If we could be anything akin to Chainlink in a 5-year period in connecting the ecosystem and multiple, because one of our future roadmap items is, I forgot to mention, I can mention this, is chain agnosticism, right?
Okay.
We're starting on Cardano,
Sure.
but the other ones are much more easily integrated. We'll still have our liquidity in Ethereum that we've started with, right? So we'll have that bridge already open and our systems can transfer over to there a lot easier. And then we plan to get onto other chains later on, right? So if we can do that and have anywhere near the success that Chainlink has had, that would be fantastic. On the other side of what crypto and what DeFi and hopefully this is bringing, just like our ventures are with the real world applications, right? I would hope that in a 5-year period of time, we're far more integrated with real world data in a real world space for use cases that you can see every day and not just for making more money, right? That's why we're trying to get into that medical sector. I know that me and the president of Gero, Sean, really want to try and get into some environmental causes down the line as well. So if we can use our projects, even things that are just based purely in tech, to do more good in the world in other areas, if we're going to be afforded that opportunity and that luck through the successes that we might have here, that's an ultimate goal, to have a wider reaching function of DeFi in the world to bring everything into a more cohesive working environment globally.
Well, that's huge. That's a lot. That's a lot to unpack there. I can't wait to see how that folds out on the roadmap with the strategy and what you guys develop in the next few years. But that's exciting and obviously very important. Interoperability and chain agnosticism is something that's needed in the space. So I think that's great that you guys are looking to do that. We need more interoperability. I mean, the real mission and vision of what the crypto and blockchain has the power to do is to massively change lives. And if we're not working together, it's not going to happen well. So I love that you guys are thinking in that direction. And man, thanks so much again for taking the time. Always a pleasure talking with you. And thanks for all you're doing to gather groups around Grow Your Stake. And obviously for Charli3, that's your primary priority. But we're able to do something good here. So that's great.
It goes hand in hand. Most of the people we're partnering with anyway for our functions have the exact same ideas and ethos and morals that we do. So I just throw it out to them and generally they're all on board. It's not too much of a hard sell. And I think it works really well together. But yeah, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate everything that you're doing as well. And this is, I thought, a pretty solid time with you. So yeah, let's keep in touch and keep giving back to the community.
Absolutely, man. We will talk with you very soon. Probably have you back on the show in the next 3 months or something. I'm looking forward to it. All right. Bye-bye, Damon.
See ya.